Could a simple perfume open a door to darkness? Have you ever wondered what you're inviting into your life without ever knowing? Picture this, a silent night. A single hand reaches for a bottle of perfume. Spray. The scent drifts through a dim room. Somewhere, a shadow moves across the wall, almost too quick to notice. The world tells us fragrance is just beauty, pleasure, luxury. But what if that's only the surface? What if every day you make a choice, unseen, unspoken, that echoes far beyond skin? Imagine for a moment you're walking through a store. Music playing, lights glittering. Rows of glass bottles promise confidence, love, escape. But hidden behind each name, each symbol, each whisper of scent, there's a story, a power, a legend as old as Eden, as real as your next breath. From ancient incense in forbidden temples, to the burning spices carried through empires and war, to the secret rituals whispered in the dark, hoping for favor from spirits no one dares name. Scripture says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness. Ephesians 6:12. So what happens when darkness doesn't come as a monster, wicked, but as a fragrance? Tonight, we'll peel back the label. We'll look past the branding and the luxury. We'll ask the dangerous questions most people are afraid to ask. What do these scents really mean? Where do these names come from? Who or what are we honoring with every drop? This isn't just about perfume. It's about the hidden messages we wear, the spiritual doors we open without a word, and the fight for your soul that's waged in places you never imagined. To understand, you'll have to journey deep through the pages of the Bible, the stories of forgotten prophets, the warnings lost in translation, and the modern world's silent agreements with powers unseen. Step with me into this mystery. See what others refuse to see. Dare to ask, what's truly following you home tonight? Are you ready to see the story beneath the story? If this journey stirs something inside you, like subscribe and share your thoughts below. Welcome to the Prophecy Vault, where the secrets are waiting and the truth is never just on the surface. What if your daily routine is actually a battleground? Imagine this. It's an ordinary morning. You stand before your mirror, sunlight slanting across your face. You reach for your favorite perfume, something you've worn 1,000 times. Maybe you picked it up at the mall last weekend, a scent that promised confidence, a new beginning, a little bit of magic for your day. You spray it on, breathe in, and get ready for life as usual. But what if there's nothing usual about any of it? What if, hidden beneath all these everyday choices, there's a war raging just beyond what you see? We love to think of spiritual battles as ancient myths or distant struggles, something that happened long ago to saints and prophets, not to us. But Ephesians 6:12 whispers a different reality. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. You can almost see the words flicker across the room, overlaying your reflection, as if the very air is charged with something you can't quite name. Most of us walk through life convinced we're only choosing brands, flavors, or styles. We believe we're immune. That darkness only lurks in obvious places. But the truth is, every day, without knowing it, we stand at the threshold of invisible doors. Doors that can swing wide with the smallest gesture. a scent, a song, a symbol, a single decision. There's a hidden battlefield in every shopping aisle, every glowing ad, every name we choose to wear. You feel it sometimes, a subtle anxiety, a restlessness you can't explain. Maybe you've noticed those days when you feel off balance for no reason. Relationships break down. Sleep turns restless. You wonder why the mood in your house shifts with no explanation. A friend tells you they suddenly felt cold in their own home or plagued by doubts they couldn't shake. It's so easy to laugh it off. But deep down, we sense that reality is more than just the visible. Ancient cultures knew this. In Egypt, Rome, Babylon, incense and fragrance weren't just for pleasure. They were used in sacred rituals, believed to invoke gods, to open spiritual realms, to declare allegiance, to draw down favor or curse. The Bible is filled with the language of scent and offering. But there's always a warning: be careful what you bring close. Today, we live in a world where marketing turns every purchase into a promise. But not all promises are empty. Some come with strings attached, threads that stretch into the invisible world. Every morning, in 1,000 quiet ways, we declare which side we stand on. Sometimes by what we say, sometimes simply by what we wear. I have heard the stories from people you'd never expect. A young woman says her dreams changed when she started using a perfume gifted to her, a darkness, a confusion settling in the night. A father confesses that after bringing home a certain symbol, his house was never the same. Arguments, distance, coldness that lingered. We shrug. Coincidence, we say. But then we remember those old words, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. What if the battleground is not somewhere out there? What if it's right here, in our homes, in our routines, in the details nobody sees? The battle doesn't announce itself. It hides behind luxury, behind glamour, behind the urge to belong. We laugh at the idea that perfume could matter. But to the ancients, fragrance was always spiritual. To God, the aroma of true worship was pleasing. But to the enemy, any door left open, any invitation, can be twisted for harm. So what's the real risk? The risk is not in the bottle itself. It's in what we don't know. It's in the stories we believe, the agreements we make, the names we repeat. It's in forgetting that spiritual war is fought in secret, in silence, in the heart. Somewhere, a young woman stands in her bedroom, looking at her perfume collection. She remembers the peace she used to feel. She wonders why it changed. Maybe you know that feeling too. You sense a fog around your thoughts, an anxiety that lingers. You start to notice patterns, the way your spirit reacts, the way your heart stirs. This is not to scare you. It's to remind you. You are not powerless. The Bible says, "Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil." Ephesians 6:11. The armor starts with awareness, with waking up to the real war. It's not about fear, but about discernment, about knowing that everything physical is mirrored by something spiritual. That's the truth the world doesn't want you to see. So next time you reach for that bottle, pause. Ask yourself, who made this? What does it mean? What story am I putting on? And most of all, what unseen doors am I opening with every choice? The war is real, but so is your authority. So is your power to close the wrong doors and open the right ones. Maybe it's time to start seeing your life not as a random sequence of days, but as a sacred ground where every step, every spray, every word matters. So tonight, as you walk through your daily routine, listen to that small voice inside. What if this ordinary moment is actually a turning point? What if the next door you open is spiritual, not just physical? And what if you, yes, you, were made to stand on the battleground and win? Hold that thought. Let's walk deeper. The war is just beginning to reveal itself. Could something as beautiful as a scent be spiritually dangerous? You walk through a department store, lights reflecting off polished tile, music humming overhead, shelves shine with dozens of bottles, each promising something: allure, confidence, power, freedom, even divinity. Perfume names pulse from billboards: opium, angel, hypnotic, poison, the devil, black magic. Names that sound almost forbidden, daring you to reach, to touch, to dream. But tonight, let's look closer. Let's see the story beneath the shimmer. The first bottle? Opium. A swirl of deep amber, a whisper of incense. The ad flickers on a screen. A model reclines in silk, eyes half closed, lost in a haze. The camera lingers on smoke drifting from her wrist. It feels exotic, glamorous, even a little dangerous. But what's in a name? Opium isn't just a word. It's a substance that has wrecked lives for centuries, used in ancient rituals, shamanic rites, doors to altered states. The Bible warns us in 1 Peter 5:8, be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Yet here we are, taught to wear temptation on our skin every single day. Next, the second bottle, Angel. You might see it glowing in Instagram stories or displayed on a friend's vanity. Glittering blue Angel. What could be more innocent? But step behind the name. The creator wanted to capture the essence of fallen angels, seduction veiled as purity. The marketing wraps you in clouds and light, promising you'll be heavenly. But which heaven? And whose angels? 2 Peter 2:4 warns, for if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell, yet this bottle sells millions, marketed to believers and skeptics alike. A friend tags you on TikTok, this is my signature scent. But what story are you wearing? The third, hypnotic poison. Dark, rich, unforgettable. The ad shows a woman in a trance, her gaze heavy, lips parted as if she holds a secret. It's hypnotic. It's poison, the language of magic, control, bewitching. Enchant, seduce, bewitch. It's everywhere. In glossy beauty magazines, catwalks, influencer reels. But Scripture whispers beneath the soundtrack. Revelation 18:23, for by your sorcery all nations were deceived. What does it mean to wear a spell? To put on a name that means to poison, to control. Every spray, a declaration spoken or not. Fourth, the devil. No mystery here. No clever metaphor. It's just the name, the devil. A blood-red bottle sold in bright displays. It's seductive, irresistible, a must-have for the bold. You might think it's just marketing, but James 4:7 is clear. Submit yourselves to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. What does it mean when we stop resisting? When we let his name become a luxury? Fifth, black magic. The bottle glimmers with onyx and gold. The campaign promises power, mystery, irresistible charm. Images flash, ritual circles, tarot cards, hands tracing patterns in smoke. To some, it's just style. Dark academia, Fiesco aesthetics, an edgy Instagram grid. But to others, it's a gateway, a question. How much darkness do we invite when we stop calling it by its name? Deuteronomy 18:10-12 warns, let no one be found among you who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft. Yet here it is, witchcraft sold in a bottle, wrapped in a bow, trending on social. You pause the video, staring at your own reflection. Maybe you've never thought of perfume as anything more than fashion, a way to feel special, remembered, desired. But the world has always told stories with scents. Ancient Israel lit incense to draw close to God. Egypt burned perfume for the dead, hoping to cross between worlds. Rome mixed oils for war and worship. Scent, always spiritual, always an invitation. Now, in the age of TikTok beauty and Instagram aesthetics, scent is a brand, a filter, a mood. You scroll through hashtags, perfume, talk, signature, scent angel vibes. Behind every bottle, a story, a promise, a power, a presence. Who do you trust when the world says it's just fashion? When you see your favorite influencer say, "This scent makes me feel powerful, unstoppable, divine." When you walk into a store and see bottles named for angels, devils, spells, or ancient narcotics, what door are you opening? You catch your breath, feeling a prickle of doubt. Is this just fear-mongering, superstition, or is there something deeper? A warning most of us are too distracted to hear. You remember the words, be sober-minded, be watchful. You hear the question behind every purchase. Who am I inviting close to my heart? What name do I speak over my skin? Is beauty worth the risk? The lights flicker in the imagined showroom. Models move in slow motion, eyes glazed, lips parted, caught somewhere between longing and a surrender. Your own memories rise, moments of confusion, unease, a feeling you can't shake when you wear a certain scent. The memory of a strange dream, an argument that came from nowhere, a heaviness in your home. Coincidence or consequence? Suddenly, the world of beauty looks less innocent. You remember that spiritual war is subtle. It sells itself as pleasure, empowerment, luxury, love. But not everything beautiful is safe. Not every open door leads to light. Maybe it's time to ask not just, what does this smell like? But what does this mean? Not just, who will notice me? But who or what am I inviting in? Could something as beautiful as a scent be spiritually dangerous? The question echoes as you watch the bottles fade into shadow, the ad campaigns dissolving into a mist of uncertainty. You reach for the next chapter, your heart a little heavier, a little wiser. There's more beneath the surface. Are you ready to look deeper? If you could see the spirit behind the scent, would you wear it? Imagine you're standing alone in your room, dusk falling outside the window, shadows stretch along the walls, the day's noise is fading, and all that remains is your reflection, hesitant, a little uncertain, in the mirror. In your hand, a bottle of perfume glimmers. The name is bold. Maybe it's opium, maybe black magic, maybe something softer, but just as strange. You pause, fingertip hovering over the sprayer. Why this scent? Why now? You remember seeing it on TikTok, your favorite influencer, confident, untouchable, surrounded by none and followers and hearts. She laughs. "This is my power scent," she says, spraying it in slow motion. The video shimmers with effects, sparkles, gold dust, wings. But is it really just a smell? Your mind spins back to another story, ancient, quieter, but somehow close. A young man, maybe your age, stands at the edge of a crowd. He wants to belong, wants to be seen. In ancient Israel, people didn't wear perfume to impress. Scent was sacred, an offering, a symbol, a way to open a door between earth and heaven. The Bible tells us incense was burned in the Holy of Holies, Leviticus 16:12. He shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire and 2 handfuls of sweet incense and bring it inside the veil. Aroma was an invitation for God's presence. But not every door leads to light. You shiver, pulse racing, as your thumb presses the bottle. You ask yourself, what am I really inviting? Is it just a feeling, a memory, a mood, or is there more? The world is louder than ever. Screens flicker with ads, bottles branded with forbidden names, occult symbols, promises of power. You scroll past, almost numb. Everybody's doing it, you think. But something inside lingers. A question. If you could see what stands on the other side of the gate, would you walk through? The room feels colder. A breeze rattles the window. Somewhere, an ad is playing. Layers of voices, whispers, chants. Wear your confidence. Be a goddess. Awaken your dark side. But the Bible whispers too. 2 Corinthians chapter 11:14. For even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. You close your eyes. The line between beauty and danger is never clear. You remember stories of old, Eve in the garden, reaching for something beautiful, not knowing it would open the door to exile. Or Solomon, burning incense on foreign altars, 1 Kings 11, inviting spirits never meant for Israel. Maybe it's not about the perfume. Maybe it's about the choice. When you buy a bottle called Black Magic, are you just buying scent? Or are you buying the myth, the energy, the power behind the name? You feel your breath catch, your hand trembling. You remember your friend Sarah, who wore Angel because it made her feel safe. But she told you, after a while, she started dreaming in colors that weren't real. She felt watched. She felt not alone. Coincidence, she laughed, but her eyes looked away. You remember a night when you sprayed hypnotic poison before a party, wanting to be noticed. The evening spun out of control, a fight, a secret, a door slammed, later lying awake. You wondered what changed. Your mind drifts back to the window. The room is darker now. In the glass, your reflection blurs with the world outside. You ask yourself, why are so many of these scents named after what the Bible warns against? Why opium? Why the devil? Why black magic? Is it just branding, or are we hungry for mystery, for rebellion, for some power we can control? Every bottle is a gate. Every spray a silent ritual. You see it everywhere. Models on billboards, eyes blank, lips parted, hands traced in smoke. A window open to a night you can't quite see. You think of Deuteronomy 18:10-12, let no one be found among you who practices divination or sorcery, who engages in witchcraft. But the world laughs it off, says, it's just a name, just a vibe. Yet your spirit knows better. You ask yourself, what if spiritual doors are opened not by ceremonies, but by what we welcome into our hearts and homes, even when we don't realize it? You feel the tension, longing for beauty, belonging, power, afraid of missing out, but afraid of what you might be letting in. And suddenly, you remember what Jesus said in Matthew 6:22. If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. You set the bottle down, heartbeat steadying. For a moment, the room is quiet, sacred. You realize you're not just choosing a scent. You're choosing what spirit to invite near. You're choosing whose story you tell, whose power you embrace. You open the window. A breeze flows in, clean, cold, honest. You breathe deep, letting go of fear, feeling your spirit rise. If you could see the spirit behind the scent, would you wear it? You turn back to the mirror. Maybe tonight you'll choose light instead of shadows. Maybe you'll close the gates you never meant to open. And as the screen fades, a new question lingers. What if your freedom begins with what you let go? The story moves forward. Are you ready for the next chapter? Can you become enslaved by a scent? You think it's just a routine. One spritz, then another, then without thinking, a third. Your pulse quickens. The bottle feels warm in your hand, almost alive. You tell yourself it's only a fragrance, a little luxury, a way to stand out, to feel beautiful, to catch someone's attention. But something in you can't stop. Slow motion, your breath sharpens. The world narrows to a single, glittering bottle on your dresser. Light flickers off the label. Angel, hypnotic poison, opium. You watch your reflection, eyes searching for comfort in the familiar act. You need this, or do you? You remember the first time you wore it? You felt confident. You felt new. But over time, that confidence faded and the ritual grew heavier. Now, it's almost a compulsion. The scent feels like armor, but it's also a chain. Galatians 5:20, a whisper at the edge of your mind. Idolatry, sorcery. Those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. You didn't mean to go that far. You didn't mean to let something as simple as a scent rule you. But here you are, in the hush of evening, counting the hours until you can spray it again. You try to stop, to say not tonight, but your hand is already reaching. Close up, your fingers tremble as they clutch the bottle. A flash of memories. A party, the scent trailing after you like a shadow. A date, the perfume the only thing giving you courage. A night alone, comforted not by friends, but by fragrance. You want freedom. You want to let go. But every time you try, it feels impossible. 1 Corinthians 6:12 echoes, all things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. I will not be dominated by anything. You laugh just a little. Is it really addiction? Can you be in bondage to something so beautiful? You think back to ads, slow motion shots of models lost in a trance, a look of bliss that borders on desperation. You see it in yourself now. The need, the longing, the almost feverish hope that this scent will change something inside you, make you worthy, make you whole. Have you ever felt you couldn't stop even when you knew it was wrong? Camera drifts, cut to faces on college campuses, city streets, bedrooms at 2 a.m. Different bottles, different brands, the same hunger in every gaze. A girl scrolling through Instagram, searching for the next must-have fragrance. A guy in a department store spraying cologne, needing the high of attention. It's not just about perfume. It's about control, or the loss of it. You feel it in your chest, a knot of anxiety, a shadow at the edge of every choice. Your mind races. Why do I crave this so much? Why do I feel powerless to resist? You remember Sarah, who started with Angel because it felt safe. She said it helped her sleep, helped her feel protected, but then she couldn't sleep without it. Couldn't leave the house unless she wore it. She started dreaming about wings, about falling, about being chased by shadows she couldn't escape. You remember your own silent promises. Tomorrow I'll stop, but tomorrow never comes. Your heart pounds as you spray the fragrance again, hoping no one will notice how much you need it. The addiction isn't in your skin. It's deeper. It's spiritual. It's the grip of something invisible, holding you, whispering, just one more. Galatians 5:1 breaks through the fog. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. You close your eyes. For a moment, you imagine breaking free, throwing the bottle away, walking into the night, bare, unprotected, but finally unbound. Would you dare? Your mind plays a reel of images. Chains snapping, a bird flying from an open cage, the scent of rain instead of chemicals. But then fear creeps in. What if you're nothing without it? What if you're invisible? What if everyone notices that you stopped, that you changed? You open your eyes. You look in the mirror at yourself, not at the brand, not at the mask. You wonder if there's a way back. Addiction isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper, a daily ritual, a gentle prison with golden bars. But you are not alone. You're not the only one who struggles. You're not the only one who longs to breathe free. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. You take a slow, deliberate breath. Tonight might not be the night you quit, but it can be the night you notice, the night you name it, the night you whisper a prayer for strength. As the music softens and the screen dims, you ask yourself, if you could let go, what would you find on the other side? Freedom is closer than you think. And in the next chapter, maybe you'll learn how to reach for it. What if you could break free right now? The air feels heavy, but not for long. You stand in your room, heart pounding, sunlight leaking through the blinds, dust dancing in the golden beams. The bottle sits in your palm, cool and familiar, so much smaller than the power it held over you. Your fingers tremble, not with fear, but with anticipation. You stare at the label one last time. It used to feel glamorous, magical, necessary. Now, you see it for what it is, a symbol, a chain, a story that's not yours to live anymore. You take a deep breath, the kind you haven't let yourself have in months. The world holds still. And then, with a decision that comes not just from your head, but from somewhere deeper, from your soul, you set it down. Or maybe you bring your fist down, the glass shatters, perfume sprays into the air, sparkling and vanishing like old magic breaking. A gasp escapes your lips, shocked, freed, alive. Sunlight pours in. It floods across the table, spilling over the broken glass, the wet, shimmering pool washing the shadows away. You hear the echo of words, not just in your mind, but like a voice behind you, cheering you on. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. A new sound enters, the laughter of someone calling outside, a car door slamming, the ordinary music of life. It's a reminder that the world is still turning, and you're still here, breathing, heart open. In that instant, you realize you have a choice. You always did. Flash, a montage of faces, tears, and triumphs. A young woman, once lost in depression, now smiling with friends, sunlight on her face. A man at a support group gripping another hand, hope rising in his eyes. A teenager tossing away a secret bottle, racing outside to join a soccer game. Each one has their own battle, their own breaking point. their own rebirth. Acts 9:19 glows on the screen. A number who had practiced sorcery brought their scrolls together and burned them publicly. So the word of the Lord spread widely and grew in power. You let yourself imagine, what if this was your moment? Your burning of old scrolls. Your letting go. What if freedom wasn't something far off, but right here, waiting for you to choose? Slow motion. You wipe a tear away, then smile. The air feels different. Your chest lighter. Outside a breeze rattles the leaves, as if creation itself is celebrating with you. You remember the stories of Americans who lost everything in a hurricane and found hope rebuilding together. Of communities shattered by addiction or division, now united by love, prayer, laughter. Of people who stared down their demons and decided, not today, I choose light. Maybe you whisper it to yourself, I'm done. I want to live free. The bottle, broken or set aside, is no longer a threat. It's just an object. The real victory happened inside. You open a window. Fresh air rushes in, carrying the scent of grass, rain, morning. You breathe in, not perfume, but promise. You pull out your phone, text a friend, hey, I'm ready to talk, can we meet? Or you find a quiet place to pray, tears slipping down your cheeks, gratitude swelling like a sunrise in your heart. And somewhere, someone else is watching, feeling the same stir, the same nudge. Hope is contagious. Tonight, you'll sleep easier. You'll remember the feeling of light on your skin, the sound of laughter, the taste of freedom. James 4:7 returns, stronger now. Submit yourselves to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. If you knew the door was open, would you walk out? That's the question that lingers, burning bright, long after the bottle is gone. You step into the sun, unburdened. You're not the same. You're free. And on the other side of surrender, you find not emptiness, but everything you were searching for. The breaking point is not your end. It's the start of your awakening. And maybe, just maybe, it's time for you to walk through that open door. This isn't just about perfume. It isn't about brands or trends or even the stories on the bottle. It's about the invisible battles you fight every day, the small choices that open doors in your heart. It's about your spirit, your freedom, your chance to choose what shapes you and what you leave behind. Maybe you never thought a scent could matter, but every story in your life, every habit, every object you welcome in, it all tells the world something about who you are becoming. God's word reminds us again and again, we are not just flesh and blood. We are spirit. We are made for more than trends, more than what the world calls beautiful. Some doors lead to darkness, to chains you never meant to wear. But some doors, the ones you choose to open toward light, toward truth, set you free. So tonight, in the quiet, ask yourself, what door will you choose to close? And what door are you brave enough to open? Will you let your spirit breathe? Will you trust that true beauty, true freedom, begins not with a bottle, but with a choice, a surrender, a moment of truth? As the light catches your face, as the music fades, remember, you are not alone on this journey. Your story matters. Your voice matters. If this message stirred something in you, share your thoughts, your questions, or your own story in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and join a generation who chooses truth over trend. Because every day the world is offering you doors, but only you can decide which ones you will open. May hope rise for you And may your story shine brighter than any fragrance you could ever wear.